YouTube, in today's video, we are going to be going over 10 tips to dominating ranked in Apex Legends while playing solo. This one goes out to all you solo queuers out there. And as you guys know, I have just completed the Solo to Master series on my own channel. If you guys would like to watch that, because I will be referencing it a lot in this video, in these tips, I'll be talking about my own experiences. So if you do want to check that out, make sure to click the top right hand side of the screen right now or at the end of the video, because I will be putting the playlist there so you guys can see it for yourselves. But without further ado, guys, let's hop into these tips. All right, guys, so the first tip today that I have for you is going to be to look primarily for third-party fights instead of going straight 3v3 while you're playing solo, because when you're playing solo, you cannot trust anybody that you get matched with. It's just a simple fact that most of the people that are going to solo queue with you or get on your team while you're solo queuing are not going to be of your skill level. They're going to be under your skill level, and I do not know why this is the case, but it is usually the case. It's very rare that you actually get people that are better than you while you're solo queuing, so just keep that in mind. It's always better to take the third party fight rather than a straight 3v3. So what I mean by waiting for the third party is when two teams are fighting, you want to wait and see if one person gets knocked from each team. That's the ideal situation, because then you're heading into a gunfight 3v2 rather than a 3v3 straight up. And most likely in this situation, after those two teams are done fighting, they're going to be really weak and they're not going to have ammo, they're not going to have shields, they're not going to have a lot of resources. And that's exactly what you want. That's the perfect time to come and clean up those squads, get the easy RP. And especially if you're playing legends like Bloodhound or Crypto, legends that can get easy assist off scans and stuff, that's crucial. Okay, that'll be huge for you guys. It'll tell you exactly where the other players are in these situations and make it that much easier to wipe squads. And like I said before, it's going to be way easier to third-party teams than fight them straight up 3v3, because you never know how good your teammates are going to be. All right, guys, so the next tip today is going to be try to communicate with pings or voice chat in game chat if possible. Now, this is a very unfortunate scenario in my case, because this microphone that you guys see right here does not work in game chat, so I cannot hear people in game chat or I cannot talk in game chat. So it really makes it difficult while solo queuing. And you might have noticed, you might have been like, why is he not communicating with his teammates only via pings? Because this microphone does not work in game chat, and I've tried everything in the books to try to make it work, but unfortunately it does not. But for your case, if you have an in-game mic that works, please use it and talk to your teammates, especially if you seem to be better than your teammates. Take charge, tell them what to do, tell them where to go, not being bossy, but I mean, tell them where you're rotating to, tell them where to push if necessary, take the lead and let them know what's going on, because a lot of the times, like I said in the past tip, your teammates are not going to be as experienced as you are, not really know as much as you do. So you got to take charge in that scenario and make sure you're pinging if possible. Make sure you're calling out armors as always. Same communication tactics apply when you're playing with a full team as when you're playing solos. Just when you're playing solo, don't expect any communication back. That's going to come up later in the video. I'm going to talk about a tip where you can't trust teammates at all, but just don't expect any communication back, but you got to do your part at least. All right, guys, tip number 3 today is going to be not letting your emotions get the best of you. I'm not gonna lie, there was many days in this well, I think I was solo queuing for about 2 weeks until I hit masters, all the way from bronze up to masters, and there were definitely some days where I would lose my cool, and I would highly recommend not doing that. And if you are starting to realize that you're getting a little upset with your teammates, or you're getting upset with yourself, for example, sometimes I would definitely take a break. I would definitely take a couple hour break, maybe an hour break in between, and then come back refreshed, energized, and get back at it with a good attitude, because having a bad attitude can cost you a lot of points, I noticed. And once I started to get mad or started to get really close to tweaking out and like smashing my monitor in, those were the games where I would lose points, and I would lose very quickly over and over and over again, and I would basically just lose all my progress that I had originally obtained. So let's say I was maybe platinum 1 or whatever, and then I started raging a little bit, and I would drop all the way to like bottom of platinum 1 when I was almost in diamond 4. stuff like that. So just make sure to keep your cool, guys. It's only gonna hurt you if you start getting mad at the game, and just take a deep breath and relax. It's gonna help you out. So I basically just grazed upon the layer of tip number 4, and that's gonna be taking consistent breaks. And like I said, guys, it's so crucial to take breaks and just refresh your mind. Go outside and take a walk. I know this is not an in-game tip, but it is so huge. If you guys are playing every single day solo queuing for like 8 hours straight and not taking any breaks at all, your mind is going to be fried. You are going to get super mad at the game if you do not succeed. Okay, if you start losing a couple games in a row, you're going to start to lose your confidence, and that is going to be crucial. You cannot lose confidence when solo queuing, and that is why I would highly recommend taking a break every couple hours. At least every 3 to 4 hours take a break, because if you're going all day and all night, let's say you just try to solo queue through it in one day, you're going to lose brain cells. Okay, you're going to honestly lose brain cells. You're going to be like, dude, why am I even doing this? It's going to make you so mad. And I would highly recommend, like I said, taking consistent breaks. It's going to refresh your mind. It's going to keep you engaged and keep you at your peak potential, honestly. Tip number 5 is going to be not taking anything for granted, whether it comes to teammates, whether it comes to rotations, whether it comes to positioning that you have. I cannot tell you how many times, guys, that I was in the perfect position. We were all up, we all had red armor, and my teammates would just, like, there was this one game, I hope I can find it, and I hope I put it in the background of this footage while I'm talking. We were in the perfect location. I think all we had to do was basically take high ground, and we won this game. There was one singular team on high ground. My teammates decided to bounce pad into the middle of zone and basically sandwich ourselves in between everybody in the rest of the lobby. And I believe in this scenario that I'm talking about, there was about 7 squads left other than us, or 6 squads left other than us. Does not matter. There was a ton of squads left. We could have easily won this game, but we completely threw the game because you can't trust your teammates. I thought we were going to easily just go up to height, take the advantage, and win the game, and it would have saved me a lot of time and a lot of maybe yelling at my screen after this game, because we lost for no reason. And you're going to notice that with teammates that you can't really communicate well with, or you don't know their tendencies, they're going to do weird stuff that you would not expect them to do. And you got to think your brain waves are not on the same, like, you're not on the same page all the time. And you think that they'll be on the same page as you, but they will be on a totally opposite page. They'll push a team when they have max KP for no reason in final zone. And that is why I had to include this tip. Do not take anything for granted, and do not expect anything for your teammates. Even if you're fighting a fair 3v3, play your lives at all times. Do not trust your teammates to clean up even one kill, because a lot of the time they won't even get the one kill. They'll probably just be shooting in the air some different direction, or who even knows, guys. Just don't expect anything from your teammates. All right, tip number 6 today is going to be trying to land alone, and trying to land at a spot where you can visibly see a third-party potential after you land. And the reason that you want to land alone with a solo squad is because you can't, like the last tip I just said, can't trust your teammates to win a 3v3, and especially you're hurting your chances exponentially when you drop off the rip, and let's say one of your teammates, or you even, doesn't get a weapon, or the enemy team gets a purple armor and a Spitfire. You're at a massive disadvantage, and that's why I like to land alone, to make sure that we have decent loot and give ourselves the best possible chance to win that fair 3v3, or even come up upon a third party if that happens. And that's going to be the best situation, like I stated in the beginning of this video. But try to land alone. Do not try to contest squads right off the rip, because that's when the RNG comes into play, and we try to limit RNG as much as possible, especially when playing solo, because you're not going to want to be landing on a P20 and white armor when your enemy has, like I said, a purple armor and a Spitfire. It's just not going to work out. So tip number 7 is going to be having the correct loadout. And what I mean by having the correct loadout is, when I was doing my own solo experience, I was noticing that once I went up the ranks, more long range weapons would come into play. Like I was using the charge rifle more, the triple take. I was using the G7 scout more in the higher tier lobbies, because especially when you're playing solo, you can get knocks from so far away, and then let's say another team cleans that guy up for you. That's an easy KP. That's 1 out of 6 of your KP that you just got from shooting across the map. And I would highly recommend picking up those long range weapons that I just listed, because that's going to come in crucial. Let's say that you're only running around with 1 KP. The difference between 0 KP and 1 KP at the end of a game is massive amount of points. You do not want to end the game obviously with 0 KP, but let's say you just peck people from across the map with, and you get 1 or 2 knocks and another team finishes those guys off. That's 2 easy KP that you just got basically for free just for carrying a long range weapon. Now obviously, other than that long range weapon, I would carry a short range weapon like the Volt, R99, 301. Anything that you can basically use short range will come in crucial, but you do not want to have 2 long range weapons, and you do not want to have 2 short range weapons, because obviously if you have the short range weapons, you can't shoot people from far away, and vice versa. If you have the long range weapons, you're not going to be able to do anything up close. So you want a nice balance of each, is what I'm saying. Now, tip number 8 is going to be playing Legends with mobility, and this is going to tie in once again to the things that I said earlier. Do not trust anybody. You cannot trust your teammates in any certain situation. So if you have to bail out and get out of a scenario, you want to be playing a legend that's possible with. I personally found the most success with legends such as Horizon, Octane, Bloodhound. Those are just 3 of my favorite legends to run while solo queuing ranked. Obviously Bloodhound for the scans, Horizon has the great lift ability and the amazing ultimate ability. And as for, what was the last one that I just said? Octane has the amazing jump pad. Now you know that's can get you super far around the map and obviously help your teammates get to height super quickly. Also, he has the stim ability to get out of situations very quickly. And yeah, just use a legend that has some mobility. Don't be running around with legends like I don't even know, like Caustic or Rampart. Is only if you're playing solo. I'm only talking about solo players here. You can bunker down with the whole team, but if your team is not all on the same page, and let's say 2 of your teammates want to push and then you're playing Caustic or you're playing Rampart, you're going to be in a very unfortunate situation, and it's very hard to make rotations, especially when you're playing solo with these legends that don't have as much mobility. So I would highly recommend playing legends with more mobility than those legends that I just named. Tip number 9 is going to be playing for your KP and really not taking every single fight if it's not necessary. And this is going to go back to what I said in the beginning, where you want to be making sure that if you do have an in-game mic, you're communicating with your teammates, finding out how much KP they have. Because if you guys have max KP and you're near the end zone, what's the point of losing your, like, let's say you have good position, for example. What's the point of losing your good position just to run out and try to get a couple more kills when you all have max KP, instead of just sitting back and winning the game? That happened so many times to me where I had like 8+ kills, and I know my teammates had assists from my kills, so they must have had max KP in these situations. And they would push teams that we didn't need to even leave. We didn't even need to leave our position to push these teams, and the teammates would just go out of their way, like doing the most. You don't need to do the most, just do enough to win the game, especially when you're soloing. When you have a full team, it's a little more easy to like go push a team and then get back into your position. But when you're playing solo, you don't have the greatest communication. Let's say you push off your spot, a team could easily take your spot and win the game. And that's happened so many times, especially on my solo queue journey. And I know that's happened to you guys before if you've solo queued in the past. Now, tip number 10 is going to be leaving teammates if you have to. And I know a lot of people are not particularly gonna agree with me, but especially when you're playing solo, if 2 of your teammates die off the rip, like right in the beginning of the game without doing any damage or anything, or they make a bad call and push something that you do not want to push, and they push into like 2 different teams and they get sandwiched and go down. A big part of solo queuing is playing your own life, and what that means sometimes is actually running away from scenarios that are terrible and you know are instant death. Like, let's say 2 of your teammates die right off the rip. You're not going to go and try to 1v3 a diamond team when you're a solo. It's not going to work. Like 99.9% of the time, you're not going to get the the correct angles to be able to 1v3 a diamond team, especially if they're all hugging each other, like taped to each other's friggin' waist. It's not gonna happen. So in those situations, you got to save your RP, especially if you like won the last game. Let's say you won the last game and get like plus 200, and then you instantly lose the next game. You lose like 60 RP. So it's basically like you didn't even win the last game. You basically came in second. So do not throw away your RP. Play your RP like it's the holy grail. You always want to get the most out of it. And let's say you have a couple KP, your teammates end up dying out. Rat for positioning. Like, go out on your own and play for positioning. Get as many points as humanly possible for yourself, because you're the only one that really, I don't want to say this like you're the only one that really matters, but you kind of are, because it's your solo queue journey. You're not playing, you're playing for your other teammates just in that particular game, but you don't care what those teammates do next game or the game after that or the game after that if you don't know them. These are just random players, so just play for your own RP. It's only your RP, and they don't care if you lose your RP, like you don't care if they lose theirs. So I hope that made sense. That was a little bit confusing, but play for your RP. Make sure to get the most out of it, and don't be throwing RP down the drain if you do not have to. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you did enjoy that video. If you did, drop a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And it's been Sweat. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace out.